Hello and welcome back to our series on where was Himiko's kingdom of Yamatai, where we're currently looking into the Yamatai controversy and whether or not Himiko's kingdom was located in Kyushu or in Kinai. Today's question, believe it or not, is where is the location of Himiko's bronze mirrors? Perhaps you didn't even know they were missing. Let me catch you up to speed. According to the Weizi, in 239, Chinese Emperor Cao Dui sent Himiko over 100 bronze mirrors. The debate over what type of mirrors they were, where these mirrors were made, and who they eventually ended up with had become a central part of the question of where Himiko's kingdom existed. The belief is that if we can locate her mirrors, we can finally know the location of her kingdom. But this assumption is much more complicated than it seems, and I'll explain why. That Himiko was a huge fan of bronze mirrors is not a surprise to historians because mirrors carry a lot of deep religious symbolism in Japanese culture. For one, mirrors are associated with the goddess Amaterasu, goddess of the sun, and a mirror is also one of the 3 treasures of the imperial royal family, representing wisdom. Some have argued that the mirrors were not made in China, but by Chinese immigrants in Japan. However, there's no proof of this, and they were most likely created in southern China, where mirror making was very popular. Most mirrors that you find in the Yayoi period are Han-style mirrors. These mirrors make up 80% of all mirrors that have been found to date, the majority of which were uncovered in Kyushu. However, the problem is that these mirrors predate Himiko's kingdom by a century or more. Therefore, most scholars believe that Himiko's mirrors were of a type called the triangle-rimmed deity and beast mirror. These mirrors are round bronze mirrors decorated with images of gods and animals from Chinese mythology. Many of these mirrors have been found with the exact dates that Himiko was said to have received her 100 from the Emperor of China. And where have we found them? You guessed it, in Kofun Tombs, all across the Kinai region. So is this proof that Himiko's kingdom of Yamatai was located in Kinai? Not necessarily. You see, the Kofun Tombs that have had these mirrors are all dated to almost a century or more after Himiko died, at least a full generation later. The mirrors are also totally way more than 100. They're closer to 500. And all of them are spread across several different tombs, none of which could possibly be the resting place of Himiko herself. So who are these people? How did they get these mirrors? And could any of them be the mirrors that Himiko received from the emperor? So remember, in order to excavate a tomb, it can't belong to a member of the royal family. So these mirrors come from people with high status that aren't necessarily royalty. 2 theories have been brought forth. 1, Himiko passed her mirrors along to her allies as gifts, who subsequently passed them down a generation, and that next generation buried themselves with them. This is a very popular theory because it explains how the mirrors may have ended up in the newer tombs. But it doesn't exactly account for several other factors, including the number of mirrors found. For this, we have theory number 2. Theory number 2. Maybe Himiko didn't pass down her mirrors, but collected them. Perhaps collecting mirrors were all the rage among elites during this time period, and Himiko is just one of many who received them from the emperor or someone else. These mirrors most likely were a display of status, and the fact that Himiko had so many merely reflects just how high her status actually was. So while the mirrors found in the Kofun Tombs may have been considered to be some of the strongest evidence placing Himiko in Kinai, there are several reasons for why this also can't be considered a smoking gun. For one, we can't say with certainty that the mirrors that were found are hers. If in fact other chiefs and neighboring chiefdoms were collecting mirrors at the same time, then the mirrors found in the Kofun Tombs across the Nara Basin may not mean anything at all. They might not be hers, but of her contemporaries, who were basically engaged in the same hobby. Even if they were hers, we can't say for sure that they weren't moved from one location to another. Himiko could have given mirrors to her allies living in Kinai, but she also could have passed them down to her successors who brought them with them as they moved east. Honestly, it's also possible that Himiko's kingdom wasn't even related to the modern-day imperial family, and her mirrors were either stolen, sold, or brought with them to Nara with their new owners who were buried with them. We just don't have enough evidence to say either way. Since there's an official ban on opening imperial tombs, we will never know how common or uncommon these mirrors were, nor will we truly understand how they are distributed. So again, we've come full circle, and while you could give a point to the Kinai region, I personally struggle to give a point to either side. So in our next video, we will be putting all of the information together, and I will finally be giving my opinion on where I think Himiko's Kingdom of Yamatai is. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.